eating McDonald's French fries.
Oh my god. It's Umi on a Monday.
Happy Monday.
I was talking about this right before we started, but I would like to preface that this VN is nowhere near as good as Little Busters.
Dude, that's a crazy statement.
It is just crazy. It's about like a time investment too. Like, if it could be the best game in the world, but if like the first how many hours or whatever is just so bad, like it makes it not a fun experience.
But I guess like later on when it starts picking up and being interesting, you'll start to like understand. It's like I think the story is definitely for the people who like deep like analytical thinking and like plot develop like
There's
deep
a lot
like
of analytical stuff, yeah.
if you like deep themes and deep character development and like characterization, I'm pretty sure then Umineko is like the game for you. If you just want stuff to happen, just play any other visual novel.
Yeah, I was playing a little. I was like, damn, these dialogue boxes are like one sentence long, and nobody's like fucking talking excessively. Nobody's repeating stuff. When people are talking, like they're saying new stuff. Like, oh my fucking god.
I've played many visual novels in the past. Like, I think like they're relatively long too. Like Shingako is pretty long. It's considered a very long visual novel. It's only 70 hours. Like towards the whopping like 200 something hours Umineko is, but
God
I
damn.
can like replay Shingako like how many times? Like around 4 times, I think. Maybe like 3 times, and like I
It's like
wouldn't
one
even like.
Umi.
It's like one Umi. Like, that's 70 hours. I thought 70 hours visual novels used to be long. Like 40 hours visual novels. I thought Lamento Beyond the Void was long. But like, you know, even like Lamento Beyond the Void, it was like 40 something hours to like maybe 50 because I'm kind of a slow reader to finish. But even then, I thought I wish the game was longer. So maybe this will be the case with Umineko, where like,
I wish this game was longer.
where like, if the game gets really good and then when it ends, you feel empty and it's like, oh, I wish it was long. Or not. I don't know. Maybe you just have to trust the process.
Let's see. Reportedly, something interesting should happen.
I'm just keeping my hopes up, okay? I don't actually know anything, but I trust because that Higurashi at least is like interesting, so this has to be like interesting. And I'm sure he'll at least answer you, right? I'd like to at least have breakfast with father. Do you think you could convince him to come down and join us? You seem that he thoroughly despises the rest of us. But I'm sure he'll listen to you. He trusts you that much. After speaking so boldly, if you're unable to convince father and come down alone, then I'll doubt you'll ever be able to claim that you've earned his trust again.
I'm like trying to floss my teeth while you're reading, but I need both hands to floss.
It's okay. I'm not confident, but I'll try.
Natsuhi responded, looking discouraged. However, knowing Kinzo's temperament, she had absolutely no confidence in her ability to bring him out. Eva was clearly mocking her, confident that Natsuhi wouldn't be able to get Kinzo to come down. But even so, Natsuhi would lose face if she gave up, saying it was impossible and letting Eva go instead. Eva's mean-spirited and unreasonable demand made Natsuhi clench her fists quite slightly. When Genji realized this, he softly spoke to her over the shoulder. Madam. Please take this if you would.
This is?
Genji handed Natsuhi sparkling gold key of ornate design. It was the key to Kinzo's study. The study had an auto lock that couldn't be unlocked as long as Kinzo forbade entrance. However, since Genji was especially trusted by Kinzo, he was allowed to carry a key to that door.
When this key is used, will you also receive the blame?
When the master is sleeping deeply, simply knocking on the door will not suffice. And it would be more difficult to persuade the master to leave his room if you must talk through the door. Please take this.
Hungry. I'm eating McDonald's from further now.
For breakfast.
For breakfast.
Until now, Natsuhi had thought of Genji as a cold servant who wouldn't do anything for her since he worked directly under Kinzo, but it looked like she would have to alter that understanding of him. She wanted to communicate her gratitude, but by then, Genji had already turned his back on her and was walking out the door with cannon. As Natsuhi watched them go, the words directed at her from behind were sneering.
Well then, you must bring father with you, okay? After all, it's his son's precious wife who he's asking. We're gonna listen to him.
The way she said kawaii sounded like a bitch.
She does sound like a bitch. We're guests, so we'll just relax here at our leisure.
Wait it, Eva. You're taking this too far. Sorry, Natsuhine-san, but we're counting on you to deal with father. Wait, if he's calling her Ne-san, does that mean she's older than him? Or is it because it's the older brother's wife?
Could be the older brother's wife. I mean, it also is just like... You just say that... I think it's just more respectful to say one. This. I mean, it's just like less formal one-san.
I was gonna say, she must be older. That's quite...
Sometimes
must be quite
it's
old.
like, hey lady.
Without answering, Natsuhi forcefully spun around on her heels and quickly left the place.
I don't think like it pertains to age when it comes from like when you're, especially when you're older and you folks are like old. It's just like any relative or close friend typically, but like typically it relates to age. But I'm not really sure if like there's actually an age gap between them because I don't think I would know. So like he probably doesn't know.
Alright. After all that excitement from the previous night, there was no way anyone was going to wake up early. George, Aniki, Jessica, and I were snoring loudly on the beds in the cousin's room. Britt's been sick for like over 2 weeks.
2 months actually. For a month.
Take some Mucinex.
I don't have any.
Go get some.
I don't want to go. I'm sick. I can't drive.
DoorDash.
I'm gonna DoorDash my Mucinex.
Yeah. Bro, I remember one time my brother was sick, so I went to the local pharmacy to pick up some just fucking cough medicine or whatever from like the shelf. So I brought it to the checkout, and the lady was so reluctant to sell it to me. She's like, "Why do you need that?" I'm like, "Because my brother's sick." She's like, "You don't look sick." I'm like, "I'm not sick." What? I'm buying this for something. And she was so reluctant. I think she thought I was gonna like make some kind of drug with it, like when you mix it with alcohol.
Are you trying to make lean?
Yeah, I think whatever that is. I'm like, bro, I'm getting racially profiled.
Oh yeah, I forgot you're not.
I was
white.
this wasn't like recent, so I was like a young Hispanic teen. Like, bro, what?
Why are you Hispanic? You know, instead I just get, you know, it's funny because people just like smile. I'm like I'm very short. I'm like 4'11" or 147 centimeters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people just smile at me and like kind of treat me like a kid. And I've noticed that, like I'm walking in the grocery store and people will like.
You should carry a fake cigarette in your mouth at all times.
Cause like these people, they'll like smile at me and like they act like I'm really awkward too. So like especially if they're like an older lady, they'll start like kind of like acting like nice, like, "Oh, you're so cute." That happened to like when I went to a convention, and like I was obviously like nervous. I was like, "I'm so sorry," and like the person was just like treating. I don't know. Everyone treated me nice. I wanted to kill myself because like genuinely like I did some embarrassing shit. I was like I'm remembering it, and I kind of wanted to kill myself again.
It's
I
okay.
mean, it
They
was
all
way.
probably forgot.
I know, but I'll never forget. I'll never forget. Cause like,
But Maria, who had gone straight to bed without joining in, was completely awake. As she rubbed her sleepy eyes and looked around, she was met with the loud snoring of the other 3 cousins. For a while, Maria had to think about what had happened. After that, she realized that her mother wasn't with her, and she had quickly got hold on. Okay, so this is Battler's perspective, but Battler's asleep right now. So how is he narrating this? For a while... That's kind of weird though, because normally when it's not Battler's perspective, it's from somebody else or a non-existent person. But like it specifically said I, but he's asleep right now, so he wouldn't be talking.
Either a translation error or this is like
It's either, yeah, it's either I noticed something important or it's a translation error.
It's either some meta thing, because like this visual novel's like long as fuck, so the people who were translating it like wanted to kill themselves in the middle and just forgot like they looked at it and was like, "Ah, this is fine," or like this is gonna be meta and we're gonna like this is gonna be like all come back and it's like it's all a story. He was narrating it the whole time. It's all a story or something.
For a while, Maria had to think about what had happened. After that, she realized that her mother wasn't with her, and so she quickly got lonely. Maria left the cousin's room, trying to head to the room that had been arranged for her and her mother. Paying no heed to the 3 who were sleeping soundly, she slammed the door shut. In response, now we're saying Battler. Battler mumbled and rolled over in his sleep, but it wasn't enough to wake him up. After a heavy bang, Maria turned, once again opening the door with a lively bang. When she had left the room, her face had been sleepy, but now that she was back, she looked irritated. After that, she climbed up on Battler's bed, which happened to be the closest, and started yelling and jumping on it like it was a trampoline.
Wake up!
I don't know how kids can wake up so early.
I never woke up early as a kid. I don't know what the fuck these people are talking about.
Some little cousins stay over sometimes, and they're up like early. I'm like, how? How? They'll it'll be like a family party that lasts like well into the night, and then they'll be like the first ones up or something.
Body clock or something.
Yeah, probably, because they wake up for school.
Yeah. What? Is it an enemy raid? Surround them! What the fuck? The dream has you've been having.
After making sure I was awake, Maria moved over to George Aniki's bed and started jumping on that too. In that manner, the 3 of us were all greeted with an extremely pleasant awakening. Thanks for waking us up, Maria-chan. You stopped us from sleeping in after that late night. Only you could have been a bit more gentle about it. George Nissan, you really are an adult. I respect that.
It'll be 7 o'clock soon. Well, it's not really bad time to wake up. This is the time. I didn't even wake up at 7 today, and I have classes early.
I woke up at 7.
I technically woke up at 7, but I do this thing where like I have like 10 million alarms consecutively next to each other, like 7:01, 7:02, 7:03, and I basically like am like in this half asleep, half awake like state until like it's like 7:15, and then I wake up and then I drive. and I'm depressed when I drive because I hate driving.
The worst part is when I forget to turn off an alarm and then I go in the shower and I have to listen to it for the entire duration of my fucking shower. Oh, I hate waking up, man.
I also hate waking up.
Also because I go to bed so late every time because I'm fucking stupid.
Oh yeah, I sleep at like 2.
Okay, well that's way later than me.
The reason why I'm so short, my theory is because ever since I was a kid, I was just sleeping at like 2 to like 6 a.m. in the morning,
But
and
I
I would
also
like,
did that.
and okay, but like, and like I slept way deep into the thing, and also genetics. But like the fact that I slept so
That
late and
means
like ate
I
so unhealthy.
I could have been 6 feet tall if I wasn't starving in my adolescence and if I'd slept for more than 4 hours a day.
That's so real. I would have been like at least 5 foot, maybe 5'2".
So much potential, but I had to be poor. And I had to like anime and stay up late every night.
I had to. I also, dude, I used to binge 12-episode anime like each night when I was a kid. I was like in elementary school and I'd be like watching every 12 episodes at night.
You're scaring her. Aunt Rosa. Jesus Christ. I'm so glad I put a limiter on the fucking mic.
On my mic?
Well, on Discord in general.
So no one can hear my nose blowing?
No, they hear it. It's just quieter than it would have been if I had taken it off.
It's not that bad. You're being dramatic right now.
Aunt Rosa, she wasn't in the room. I wonder if she's already woken up and gone to the mansion.
Not here!
Maria kept groaning ooh ooh and looking unhappy. She didn't exactly seem lonely because her mother wasn't around. It was more like she was irritated and thrown off balance because her mother wasn't where she had expected. If we could just tell her that where her mother was, that alone would probably calm her down. But unfortunately, we had no way of knowing where Aunt Rosa was, except that she wasn't here. Anyway, it's time for breakfast, so let's head over to the mansion.
Oh, that's right. Maria, let's go to the mansion together, okay? I'm sure Aunt Rosa will be there too. I'm sure. I want to burp. Mama's in the mansion. Then I'll go there.
Yeah, I guess we should go to the mansion. Our parents have probably already gone there. Maria regained her usual composure so completely. Her earlier tantrum now seemed like a lie. We got dressed, left the room, and headed for the mansion. Still raining. Once more, there was knocking sound on the study door, but there was no answer. He seemed to still be sleeping, and I could not wake him. If she went back downstairs and said something like that, Ava probably would be amused and triumphant. And even putting Ava aside, it was problematic that Kinzo had stayed shut away during this entire once-a-year conference, not even coming down to greet anyone. Even the family head, especially the family head, couldn't fail to make an appearance. I wonder if I can convince him myself. Natsuhi readied herself and used the key she'd borrowed from Genji to open the door. A body has been discovered.
A body has been discovered.
Even though she was prepared for the sweet stench, which seemed to eat into one's brain as it poured out from the small crack of the door, she couldn't help but grimace. Thinking that he might still be sleeping, Natsuhi entered the room quietly. When she did, Kinzo was already awake, looking down out the window. See, I told you, he threw the fucking umbrella.
So you're awake. Good morning.
Oh, that's you.
How did you get in?
Kinzo spoke with his back still facing her. His voice was not harsh, but calm, and Natsuhi was slightly reassured. However, though he was awake, he wouldn't have ignored all that knocking if he was in a good mood. So she wasn't able to relax.
Sincere apologies. I asked Genji-san. He allowed me to borrow the key to the study. Oh. Genji did.
Yeah, he said ho, and that's what Cross says.
My friend thought it was that important. Then I have no choice but to listen. So, what business do you have with me? Well, breakfast will be ready soon, and I would greatly appreciate you if you would join us. I wait here. Haven't brought here like always. But father, this family conference only happens once a year. Please, at least let them see your face. Bring up the Beatrice's letter if he's obsessed with Beatrice. Go back downstairs. Are you asking me to join as they discuss how to chew my inheritance after I die? How foolish. Let them speak in such manner that they peace with them. That's what you call a family conference. It's hardly worth being Remember it, I am busy. Do not bother me. Natsuhi, choose your words properly!
His last words carried a threat that any further questions would not be appreciated.
Visual novel games.
Natsuhi realized that adding any further pleas would finally bring his wrath down upon her. He didn't look forward to facing Ava's sarcasm, but there was nothing more Natsuhi could do.
Is that so? Understood. I'm sure everyone will be sorry to hear it, but I will let them.
Natsuhi decided to give up. Bowing silently, she tried to leave the room before Kinzo's spasmodic temper could flare up.
That's it?
Finally, a scene that ends quickly.
Finally.
As she did, Kinzo spoke to her and it fucking extended by another 10 minutes. His voice was so calm and gentle, it felt like it came to an entirely different person.
Natsui. It has been quite some time since you married into the Ushiromiya family. Yes, it's been many years since I first was permitted to bear the name Ushiromiya. Do you sometimes long for your previous family? No. Erasure means abandoning your birth family. I am Ushiromiya Natsui. Ushiromiya family is the only family I can come home to. The only one I am fond of.
She truly wasn't exaggerating. Such was the resolve she felt whenever she applied the Ushiromiya family name to herself. And that's precisely why she was so saddened when her husband didn't treat her like an Ushiromiya, leaving her to race about in vain.
If Cross were a woman, and you his husband, no, I wouldn't say that.
What is this sentence? What? I don't even know where he's going with that.
What do you mean by that? I think he's implying that he would give the inheritance to her.
Natsuhi was shocked. Kinzo's words now just seemed... If Kinzo's words now were just what they seemed, it would be more than enough to make up for all she had suffered to this point. Yay! Happy ending.
Forget it. It's just the nonsense of an old man.
Doomed at birth. Kinzo once again faced away from her. He told her to forget it, but Natsuhi couldn't help feeling a warmth in her heart. He smiled!
Father, even though Natsuhi, am not connected to you by blood, I am still your daughter. I will most assuredly see to it that your honor and glory and everything you have left behind are protected.
What?
You do not have the right to wear the one-winged
You're gonna say but. There you go.
However, one-winged eagle is surely engraved in your heart. That is irrefutable proof that you are my blood relative, one who will inherit the glory of the Ishinomiya family. Some will sneer that there is no eagle on your clothes, but such words are not worth lending a ear to. Only those who hold the eagle in their hearts are true blood relatives.
I have a serious problem with this story.
What?
So, in these kind of contexts where there's a very rich and powerful family, it's usually a large family. But the Ushiramiya family is the only surviving family. Like, there is no extended family. There's no, like, branches. Because I've seen this kind of thing in different anime before, and it makes sense to me when there's a lot of influence from family members, like cousins, or like, you know, the second family applying pressure to the main family. But they're talking about the title in their bloodline in the Ushiramiya family, but the family is only like 4 people. They're literally only fighting amongst themselves. There's no outside pressure.
I thought he built up this family, so aren't like all the standards coming from him?
I guess, but like I'm so used to this scene, like the main family needs to maintain power, because if they don't have the power, then it's possible for the secondary family to become more wealthy.
I don't understand political stuff. I know that the author was worked in politics and was like a government worker, so so most of his games are heavily, what the fuck are the pings, dude? But like but basically I know like he in particular had like a lot of experience with government, like this stuff, so there's probably some reason. I don't know.
I mean, like, it'd be fine if there was another family, but there is none. Like, this is the only one that survived.
I think it's just like they're like a very rich family. So like imagine like the Musk, like Elon Musk.
Like, it just feels kind of silly to talk about like how important this family name is, but like the family is literally smaller than my own family.
I don't know. I now consider an honor that you are welcomed into the Ishiramiya family.
Without saying anything more, Kinzo remained with his back to Natsuhi. However, Natsuhi couldn't help but feel something warm well up inside her that she hadn't felt long ago, when she had just been a child. Natsuhi bowed silently to his back and left the room.
Good timing. How's father? You're taking so long, so I came to check.
When Natsuhi left the study, she saw Ava climbing the stairs and their eyes met. Ava was smirking unpleasantly, thinking that Natsuhi would leave grudgingly after failing to convince Kinzo. However, the way Natsuhi was now, such a frivolous thought would not disturb her. She was not permitted to wear the family crest on her clothing, but she was permitted to wear I'm gonna fucking kill this game. So she spoke calmly, clearly, and confidently with the dignity of one who should protect the Ushirimiya family's glory.
Father said he will not join us in the family plans. He says he has no interest in discussing such obscene matters. I figure he says something like that. If you fail to persuade father, just say so. How pitiful. Beginning to see why father lamented so. What do you mean by that?
Natsuhi did not answer. Just as Kinzo had done earlier, she showed Eva her back as she headed down the stairs. That's my goat. Eva finally realized that she was being made fun of, that something had happened so too quick. What? Eva finally realized that she was being made fun of, that something had happened to quickly bolster. That's a weird sentence. Even so, she apparently didn't have the courage to risk Kinzo's wrath. Unable to even knock on the door, she could only click her tongue, make a motion as though scratching at it, and follow Natsuhi.
So were Nissan and the rest there? Did you ask father about them? Yeah, why didn't she ask father about them? Didn't get a chance to ask, but they were not inside the study. Father would never let them into his room and discuss such a lowly topic, so it is unlikely he knows where they went. Let us go downstairs and wait for the servants to return for another search. Breakfast may be late, but how would you like some tea, Ava-san? That would be fine.
Her smile is worth $1 trillion. It's worth 10 tons of gold. Eva couldn't hide her confusion at the complete difference in Natsuhi's attitude. She was acting so boldly, and while Eva hated to admit it, she even had a sense of dignity about her. Unable to find fault with anything, Eva could only follow Natsuhi's back to the parlor. When the two of them returned to the parlor, Hideyoshi had been joined by the 4 children and Nanjo. Genji, who had been talking with Hideyoshi, reported the current situation when he noticed that Natsuhi had returned.
You still have not found my husband and the rest?
Why is Kanon the only one cooking?
Because I guess everyone, they only have like a couple servants.
Yeah, but like, what's Genji doing? He's just kind of standing here. Well, I guess he was searching.
Because like, the fucking Goda man isn't there. I think Shannon's missing too, so like that's like there's like 5 servants, and I think like 3 of them are missing.
Or fucking Cannon's making like 50 pancakes by himself.
I flip the pancake. I do all the cooking.
Yes, my apologies. Also, Kumasawa-san at Kumasawa.
So it's only like 2 people. There's only like 2 people missing.
But she's helping him.
Yeah.
She said that she will need just a little longer. Clock read a little past 8. We've been waiting for like over an hour for breakfast, bro.
I don't really eat breakfast, so I would have been fine.
Yeah, I don't eat breakfast. I wake up too late. 8 o'clock should have been time to start breakfast.
Morning, I feel like nauseous.
Normally going over that time limit would be a disgrace to the host. Shannon is now searching outside. Also, no one has seen Shannon either.
Even Shannon's missing. Truly, how many people did my husband bring on with him on his little walk?
Just how many people had gone missing by now? Now that the number was large, it was starting to feel truly unpleasant, as though the number of people as though the people here were the only ones left out on something interesting. At least that seemed to reflect the feelings of the children, and Maria in particular. She was indignant, her stomach grumbling. That indignant child in her fucking hungry stomach. How dare she be hungry?
How dare she to be starving? She's like growing too.
Although almost as though her mother and the others had left her alone to go off and eat something delicious without her. The other children were flipping through the channels.
There's so much snot.
Eat your fucking Mucinex.
Oh, it's on my chair.
On the television, trying to find a program that might interest Maria and cheer her up again. Andra was sitting on the sofa, gazing blissfully at the children while reading a book. He must have read a book about chess. Chess! The sound of footsteps came rushing towards them with a pitter-patter. There was only one seat, so they realized before seeing who it belonged to that it was probably Kennen, not Cross and the rest.
Oh, wait, that's me. Excuse me. Judging by your appearance, you still haven't been able to find them. I thought he was cooking the breakfast. You told me he was cooking the breakfast.
He swapped with Kumasawa.
You cooked their pancake. Apologies. I still haven't. That will be enough. You worked hard.
He didn't know where they were, but they had been somewhere on the island. They hadn't had a thing to eat since the previous night, so their stomachs must be growling by now. They'd probably come plodding back on their own accord before long.
Pancake.
By now, Natsuhi had thoroughly exasperated and started to feel as though there were no reason for them to go out of their way and search.
I'll go to the kitchen, prepare some tea for all the thanks to both of you for all your hard work so early in the morning.
So he left the parlor, acting as though the release intention had caused a new surge in her headache.
Thanks to the previous line. I feel like you would say thank you, both, not thanks to both. I feel like thanks to you. That's like the vibe I'm getting. That's like hard to read. Am I like stupid?
Thanks to both of you for all your hard work.
Thank you for both.
Thank you both. Thank you both for all. Yeah, that would be easier to read. Well, we gotta add a few more lines.
And Umineko just kind of like I kind of struggle at reading the sentence just because it's kind of wordy.
I didn't try to call to her back, but Natsuhi left swiftly. What is it? Was there something else?
Yes. I was unable to find her husband and anyone else, but... Well...
Kennen sounded evasive.
I
looked as though
a strap-on in the middle of the garden.
It was used. It looked as though he didn't know where they were, but had spotted something that might be connected to their disappearance.
You know that dying rose from the other night? It was covered in a mysterious substance. I don't know what it was.
It didn't taste like rainwater.
Wait, what?
I was gonna say, this is the thing that pissed me off. But like, okay, so one, we can, yes, ... I was able to find her husband, but well, ... Okay, that implies uncertainty, which is then later explained here. But like, just say the next line. Like, why do we fucking stop this every time?
Oh no, just in case you missed the tone, we gotta explain everything.
So we have to explain the tone. Like, obviously he sounded evasive, and obviously that means it would be connected to their disappearance because he just fucking asked, was there something else? Eva and Hideyoshi noticed this exchange of words and came over. They'd probably picked up on something strange in Kennen's behavior.
I wonder what was strange about his behavior.
He seemed evasive. What's going on, Kennen-kun? Did you find Cross-Nissan and everyone else?
Actually, the Rose Garden storehouse looks strange.
What do you mean? It looked strange?
It was, how should I explain it?
Kennen hesitated once more. His tone wasn't at all what you'd expect from this usually fearless boy. Excuse me. Seeing this, Eva and Hideyoshi looked at each other dubiously.
What do you mean? Are you saying Nissan and the others were inside the storehouse? No. I am going to inspect inside now. I just came back now to get the key, but...
No, I don't usually get it, but it sounds like we just gotta look around inside of it. Where's the key to the storehouse?
It is in the servant's room. I can't fucking breathe. Let us check inside the storehouse at once. I wonder how... Oh, thank God. This means they're going to the storehouse now, right?
Cannon
I guess
dashed off
not.
to the servant room and returned with the key. Oh, thank God. Did a little time skip. Genji left the parlor, saying that he would go check, but then Ava and Hideyoshi followed after him. What was this? Something strange about the storehouse that had caused the usually fearless Cannon to hesitate. It was still pouring outside, but perhaps their curiosity over this something the Cannon couldn't talk about won out. While the children made a big fuss about watching television, Cannon and the rest dashed over to the entrance.
God, please show me the entrance. Oh my God, we're outside.
The Rose Garden storehouse was a place that housed various tools used to manage the garden. It was definitely not a pretty building. Because of the appearance it had been built so that it was hidden in the corner of the Rose Garden. Cannon, Genji, Ava, and Hideyoshi came cutting across the Rose Garden holding umbrellas. They entered a small path just off the Rose Garden, which was normally off limits for those appreciating the garden and only used by those maintaining it. As they dashed down that, the storehouse came into view in front of them. What's weird about it?
I don't know. They played a scary sound.
It was quite an old shed, and compared to the flawlessly beautiful garden, it looked pretty seedy looking.
Get it, seedy?
Yeah. It was easy to understand why it had been built in a hard-to-see place. It doesn't look that ugly, it's just a little basic.
It looks like a garage.
It does.
That's it.
I thought it'd be like rinky-dinky.
I thought it'd be like a scary shack you'd find at the end, like in the middle of the woods.
Ava and Hideyoshi arrived at the storehouse long after Cannon and Genji. You two sure are fast. I thought my heart was gonna explode.
We never knew they had a storehouse way over here. But... What is that?
When Ava looked where Cannon was pointing, he was at a loss for words. Noticing this, Hideyoshi also followed Cannon's finger and was likewise too shocked to speak.
Please reveal it.
The entrance to the storehouse was a kind of shutter. And there, everyone suddenly realized why Cannon had been unable to find the words to describe what they now saw. On the shutter, which was completely filthy from being exposed to wind and rain for so long, stuck right on it, there was something that looked like a strange dark red liquid. Mucus? Oh no, snot.
Just like, oh, I know something about that.
Or maybe this was some sticky paint.
It was like outside a Nazi's doorknob too.
An indescribably eerie shape was drawn on the shutter with some kind of ghastly substance. We couldn't... Okay, I guess they didn't want to put it on the actual CG. But like they have... Okay, they have this... Okay, they have the rain background, and then they have this circle drawn on top of the rain. So if they have the circle by itself, why can't they just put it on the CG?
Well, what are we missing from the CG?
This is supposed to be on it, but it wasn't on the fucking... the shed door.
I don't know where exactly it's supposed to be.
I mean, they made it sound like it was on... Yeah, on the entrance.
I guess so. I don't know. I don't think too deep on it.
The rain had caused it to drip down, like fresh blood leaking from an open wound. And more beating around the bush. There was some kind of mark drawn there, of a ghastly substance that looked like blood.
Oh,
in a
really?
shape that seemed to suggest something ominous.
You just said that.
2 circles were drawn there, and the inside was a design that looked like a cross. The 4 ends of the cross were exaggerated, but it looked like some kind of crest from somewhere in Europe. And in the cracks between these shapes were written closely packed together were some unfamiliar characteristics, or possibly symbols. There's nothing on it. Unless this isn't the door. What a vulgar bit of graffiti. Could this be one of those magic circles used in demonic ceremonies? It wasn't surprising that Hideyoshi would say that about such a ghastly shape drawn in a deep red dripping substance.
When was this made? Last night, I came here before it started raining. There was nothing drawn.
They must do something before anyone else sees this. If they laid eyes on it, it would only cause them great discomfort.
That's right. Even though it's just a shed, I wouldn't want to leave it on such an unpleasant piece of graffiti alone for even fucking... Oh god. Alone for a second longer than I had to.
There was some paint inside the storehouse. Let us paint over it temporarily as an emergency measure. Then repaint it again someday when the weather is good. Genji remembered that he had just recently seen another scribble and that it too had been made with a strange dark red substance like the same color as this. That must have been... That's right, he had seen it on the door to Natsuhi's room.
Really? Gun. Let's remove this scribble quickly and go back, alright? Even though it's just a storehouse, it's really irritating to have graffiti around the home I was brought up in. Yes, ma'am. I will take care of it immediately.
Kanan squatted in the front of the shutter and unlocked it. He then lifted it up with all his strength. And he made the rain stop.
Stop reading.
A boisterous noise resounded, and that eerie shape drawn on the shutter began to get sucked in through the top of the shutter as the top of the shutter was raised. At least for the time being, the ominous drawing disappeared from the direct gaze, and they all sighed a breath of relief. Thanks to the kids program they came across, Maria was feeling much better. Louis, Tyler, and Jessica were poking fun of the kids' show at every turn, crackling together. George was enjoying the program with Maria from her perspective. And Nanjo was there. They heard rumors. I mean, what the fuck? They heard hurried footsteps. They heard hurried footsteps coming from the hallway. They were the footsteps of a single person. Did that mean that it was the group of four that had just left? It wasn't the group of four that just left. It was Genji. It was very rare for Genji, who considered being out of breath a violation of the servant's virtues, to be out of breath, to be gasping for air. He had probably come dashing from outside. His shoulders were soaking wet, and he didn't have his usual trim appearance. When Genji noticed Nanjo looking at him, he gave a small silent bow and quickly approached him. Dr. Nanjo, my apologies. Please come with me, quickly. What is the matter? Genji whispered something into Nanjo's ear. Nanjo went pale. He rose from the garden, trying not to be noticed by the children who were still engrossed by the TV, and the two of them rapidly left the parlor, muffling their footsteps. Just as they were about to exit the parlor, they came across Natsuhi, who was pushing the servant cart loaded with tea. Genji whispered something to Natsuhi's ear, and Natsuhi went pale too in apparent shock. And leaving the serving cart where it was, the three of them dashed towards the entrance. George noticed them running down the hallway, running down to the rose garden through the window. What is that? Isn't that Genji-san and Dr. Nanjo and that's Aunt Natsuhi, isn't it?
What's up, Aniki?
Maybe something happened. They look terribly flustered.
Oh, really? I couldn't tell.
When Jessica and Maria saw that Ava, Hideyoshi, and Nanjo were no longer in the seas of a serving cart of an abandoned... Could there have been some kind of accident? Like, this shit is implied, bro. It's implied when the next person talks about it. Could there have been some kind of accident?
Let's go check it out. It's no fun if we're the only ones left out, right?
For some reason, what Battler said sounded extremely indiscreet. But they couldn't deny that they were a little insecure and concerned about seeing the adults run off into the rain without regard to their appearance. Let's check it out, okay? I'm worried about something that might have happened.
And George is gonna say, "Let's check it out." And Maria's
Jessica's
like, "Woo!"
Jessica's uneasy words spoke for all of them.
Hey Maria, you're coming too? Or will you watch TV? Oh, wanna watch TV? Ooh.
Let's go on without her.
You're leaving the little kid by herself?
Maria-chan, we'll be back soon. You keep watching TV, okay? Oh, Kumasawa's in the kitchen.
Okay, but she's not directly watching over her, so like, if there's been disappearances from everyone and something's concerning,
well, they don't know about it actually. These four don't know because they've been watching TV.
Probably tell that something weird's happening.
I mean, yeah, I feel like George should have like told Kumasawa that they're all stepping out.
It's like, you know,
all these lines and he can't say that.
They didn't cover everything.
By the time the kids made it outside, the adults were no longer in sight. But Jessica seemed to have a pretty good idea where they had gone, judging by the direction they had been running. Following Jessica, we went through the rain-soaked rose garden. Wind seemed to be subtly getting stronger. The malicious sound of thunder began to ring out like it had the previous night. It felt like an eerie something had surrounded the island and was trying to stop us from moving forward.
Jessica, is there something over this way?
I'm pretty sure there's a storehouse for gardening tools or something. What in the world could be going on in a place like that?
I have no idea.
Just as Jessica had said, they began to see a storehouse in front of them. They could also see the adults there. The shutter to the storehouse was open, and several adults looked like they were searching for something. For some reason, only Natsuhi was outside the storehouse. Without even holding an umbrella, she looked like she was hanging her head and her back was facing them. There was Genji, Nanjo, and Natsuhi, who had just left the mansion. The ones we'd left earlier, Ken, Ava, and Hideyoshi were also there, making a small crowd of people. But there was absolutely no bustle of activity. When Natsuhi realized that the children were approaching, a terrible expression rose to her face, and she ran at them with her arms spread wide.
You mustn't come any closer! Go back to the mansion!
But despite that, no, because of that, the kids saw the scene Natsuhi was trying to keep them away from. Inside the storehouse, with its shutter wide open, a faint fluorescent light shone down, and right there was...
Was it a dead body? Was it blood? Get that, say faster! I'm so tired.
I don't think I can do that.
Yeah, I don't know if you can tell. I kind of stopped voice acting because I just want something to happen.
Yeah.
What is it? Yeah.
Jessica's piercing shrank. Oh, let me put my earbuds in because the music's... Yeah, I was gonna say the music's going. Jessica's piercing shriek rang out. That was just because Jessica's scream was the loudest. That same thing spilled out of Battler's and George's mouths as well. Ava spread her arms just like Natsuhi, roaring at the kids with a bone-chilling expression on her face.
What the fuck did they say? George, take everyone and return to the mansion! Quickly! Right now!
When Natsuhi spread her arms, I thought she was trying to prevent us from advancing any further. But that wasn't why Ava was spreading her arms right now. She was trying to stop us kids from seeing that terrible scene. It was her mother's heart, trying to protect the eyes and the hearts of us children by blocking our view from that terrible scene by at least the width of one of her arms.
Is this some kind of joke? Who's dead? Is it?
I'd seen this kind of cheap scene all too often. In manga, TV, anime, and movies, I'd seen it over and over again. This was just seeing something appear in real life like I had seen plenty of times before in one of those more sensational movies, right? That alone shouldn't. But that suit...
It was this dad and he
It's that old bastard, isn't it? I get it. Then that's Uncle Cross. And Kairi-san. And Aunt Rosa. Ugh. Dad.
You mustn't, Jessica! You mustn't look!
Dad! Jesus Christ.
I mean, who would have seen this come?
Oh, this music's going fucking hard right now.
This is like Toho fucking music.
Yeah, I was gonna say, 'cause they brought out the fucking organ or whatever. Rigor mortis has set in across almost the entire body. Most likely, 6 hours or more has passed since death. Interesting. 8, so this happened between 12 and 2.
I couldn't do the math that quickly in my head.
As far as I could tell by looking at the damaged area, this is a high probability that they were damaged even after their deaths. Oh, I must watch what I say. I'm a general practitioner. Examining corpses is outside of my area of expertise. So, what does that mean? Just killing them wasn't enough? They went on to do something like this? The devil. Here's the work of the devil. Aunt Natsuhi caught Jessica in her arms, and Aunt Ava caught George Aniki. So I was the only one who could approach the entrance to the storehouse. If only I'd been there. If only there had been someone there to catch me too. I wouldn't have needed to have this horrible, evil scene burn into my eyes. No, that's not it. It isn't that there's no one here to catch me. The people who should catch me, they're right here, aren't they? Just as Jessica said, it did look like a storehouse for gardening tools. A lawnmower with extra blades, a grass sickle and a hammer, some carpentry tools such as a saw, piled up potted plants and bags of fertilizer. And treated just the same, the corpses of several people had been laid there to rest. No, had been tossed in there. I could tell by their clothes. That old bastard, and Kairi-san, Uncle Cross and Aunt Rosa. Beyond that, Koda-san and... Are there still more of them? How many people died? You're fucking kidding me! I can't even count them on one hand, damn it! I didn't know whether it had been one of those gardening tools, which if used for something other than their intended purposes, could definitely be wielded with a naked brutality, or whether some horrible tool had been brought in here specifically for this. Anyway, each one of the bodies jammed in here had been given an atrocious makeup. It wasn't makeup, it was more like... the faces had been plowed.
Ooh, you think Shannon's way?
The dark blood. Look. The faces were smashed, forced into expressions that normally people couldn't even make after death. I couldn't tell where their eyes or noses were, but I could find their mouths, because they were gaping wide, their gums exposed. But their front teeth were missing, and even the cheek that should have covered all of this was torn up and laid bare. That trendy makeup you always spent so much time on, even though your man isn't doing a thing now.
You know, you should have fucking asked him what he meant by that. You're regretting it now, aren't you? Dad, I always thought you were going to help. But still, not like this, right? You weren't such a son of a bitch that you should be suffered so brutally. And Kairi-san, did I tell you to stop going out with this guy? There is absolutely no reason for you to end up like this too. They've got no faces. No faces!
Yeah.
Oh, that's like Leon. Kusakus! Baka, baka, baka.
Battler-san.
Ow, 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 ow.
Battler-san, you mustn't look anymore. There's no way your mother and father would have wanted you to see them like this. For your mother and father's sake, you mustn't look anymore.
People are supposed to have faces that look like they're sleeping peacefully, right? Well, not always. They've got no faces! My dad and Kairi said have no faces! I don't even know what kind of faces they were wearing when they died. What's wrong with me? I have to stay smashed monster-like faces every time I remember them. That's just great. I didn't want to remember that old bastard smug face anyways. Just great, just great! But why Kairi-san's face? Kairi wasn't a crook. Sure, she ticked me off a bit now and then. But she was like a cool big sister to me. This is wrong. This is all wrong. At least Uncle Cross has it better, doesn't he? It's not just his whole face, just the sides. At least he'd have half of his face left, right? That's still better, that's still better!
No! Jessica filled her ears with the sound of her own screaming, trying to shut out my reckless words. Stop it, Battler-kun. Just stop it, just stop it. Disregarding age and appearance, I fell to my knees, clinging to Aniki's waist and sobbing. It was as if I was crying on behalf of everyone there. Representing the feelings of everyone there, I screamed over and over.
Well, I'm glad they didn't bring Maria. Alright, guys, he finally died.
Father. The only ones lying dead. Lying over there are Uncle Cross, Uncle Rudolph, Aunt Kairi, Aunt Rosa, and Goda-san. Yes, those 5, right? No, there are 6 people. There's one person over there.
It's Shannon.
The body Hideyoshi was looking down on now happened to be hidden among the shadows in the mountain range of objects, in a blind spot to George, who stood by the entrance. So George couldn't tell whose body it was. So George cursed himself. Cursed the fact that his worst guesses always turned out to be right. So, the one lying at your feet is Shannon, isn't it? Yes, it's Shannon-chan.
Ooh, water.
George fell completely silent. He shook slightly, his lower lip trembling.
Aww.
Normally he would have wanted to run to his beloved's side, screaming and crying. However, before rashly rushing forward, he worked to keep his composure and asked his father, "Is Shannon the same as Uncle Cross and the others?" Hideyoshi deeply understood the meaning of those words, so he couldn't give George an immediate answer. Rather, he felt that silence was the only sincere and loving response he could give George right now. When George asked if Shannon was the same, he meant to ask whether her corpse was in the same condition as the others or not. Since Hideyoshi hadn't denied it, it meant her corpse was in the same brutal state. Can I look at Shannon? No, you can't. Why not? After all, I won't be able to see Shannon's face again, right? So, why won't you let me see what her face looked like at the end? Last time you met Shannon was yesterday, right? Yes. I see. When you left her, what kind of face was she showing you?
Aww. It's okay, dude.
Was a wonderful smile. After he handed her the ring, she hesitated, even though she must have already made up her mind. And she looked bashful, and ran away because she was embarrassed to let him see her face looking like that. That's the expression that was revived in George's mind. I see. And I'm sure Shannon-chan would want to leave you with that smile in your memory. Hideyoshi looked down upon Shannon's body lying at his feet. Just like the other bodies, he was in such a horrible state that it'd make anyone want to cover their eyes. Her head had been smashed in from the side, so no more than half her expression remained. If the remaining blood-soaked half of her expression had been wiped clean, would that graceful smile of hers have peeked out? But only half of it. Without thinking, Hideyoshi slapped his hands over his eyes. How brutal. If her face was going to get crushed anyway, then if only all of it had been crushed, he might have been able to temporarily distract George from the pain by making the pathetic suggestion that it was someone else wearing Shannon's clothes. But half the face had been left untouched. It caused the body to so much humiliation, while still proving beyond a doubt that the body was Shannon's and no one else's. How inhumane. How brutish. And there, trying his best to burn the image of the remaining half of Shannon's expression into his eyes as she lay at Hideyoshi's feet, was Cannon. Cannon was not crying. Tears had risen to his eyes, but they did not drip down. That didn't mean he wasn't feeling as much sadness as everyone else. Losing Shannon, who had lived with him in the same orphanage whom he had loved as a sister, must have been the same as losing a blood relative. George, I'm sure Shannon-chan is saying thank you. She must be glad you didn't end up seeing her in such a pitiful state. I'm sure she's thanking you for holding strong and showing restraint. I understand. I understand, Father. I understand. Orange leaned against the outside wall of the storehouse, crouching down limply. Father, I have a request. What is it? I want you to look for me. Is there a ring on Shannon's finger? A ring? Let me see. Oh, we have a CG for this.
Well,
Hideyoshi crouched down. As he did, Cannon slightly pointed to the one on Shannon's hands. Yeah, there is. It's a diamond ring. With a valuable diamond. Must have been pretty expensive. And which hand? Which finger is it on? Ring finger of her left hand. I see. So Shannon-chan was engaged?
George, don't tell me you...
Eva. We know she's 16.
We know she was a minor.
That doesn't matter now. She's dead. A man made a lifelong promise to Shannon-chan. A man promised her happiness for life. Who that man is, isn't the issue here. Being told that by a man is a woman's dreams, isn't it? I don't know when she received that ring. I also don't know who gave it to her. However, even so, Shannon-chan took this ring. Then she accepted it and put it on her left ring finger. I'm sure the man who gave it to her was also happy. To most of the people there, Hideyoshi was simply disturbed by this extraordinary situation and was blurting out nonsense. However, someone who knew of George and Shannon's true relationship would understand the full meaning of those words. I see. Thank you. Father. George stood up. The traces of tears still streaked his face, but his expression had returned to his usual calm one. Let's go. Battler-kun, Jessica-chan. Stay here any longer will only get in the way of the adults. You're right. Jessica sniffled once, showing her face to her mother, who had been holding her the whole time, to let her know that she was okay now. When she faced George again, she once again had on her usual expression, although she still couldn't smile. Battler, hang in there. Battler kept on crouching in front of his parents' bodies.
I'm sorry. Crying like hell, calm me down. You bastard dad. Bet you're laughing at me. After all the shit I talked about you, here I am crying like a baby just because you died. Well, so what? I guess I just got the gene that makes you cry when your parents kick the bucket.
Balor's face was still bright red from the tears, but he had at least recovered enough to fake a smile, only a bitter one.
Kano, you mustn't remain here any longer either. Take the children and return to the mansion.
Natsuhi, who had been standing under the rain the whole time, unable to take a step into the storehouse. Maybe she had her own way of grieving, different from Battler's. Realizing that she had to take on the role of responsibility now that her husband was dead, she gave Kanon those orders.
Yes. Fuck. Where's my tissues?
Bro's sobbing.
Where's my... Yeah, I'm sobbing. Fuck, I ran out of tissues! My nose!
Kanon rose silently and turned his face to me. His face was pure white, almost as though his own heart had died along with Shannon. And there was no life in his expression. On an ordinary day, if he had been told to guide the children through the beautiful rose garden, Kanon might have led the way. But now there was no distinction between Kanon and the children. They were now just kids about the same age, suffering the pain of losing those close to them. After making sure that the children were leaving, Natsuhi started giving orders to Genji.
Genji, contact the police immediately. Probably won't be able to come until the next typhoon passes, but they should be able to tell us what to do next.
Understood. There is an emergency radio, so I will use that to contact them. She heard that. Natsuhi remembered. That's right. The phones were out today, weren't they? However, they also had a radio, since they couldn't necessarily rely on phones all the time while living on an isolated island.
Yeah, who the fuck wants to live on an isolated island?
At any rate, they should start by contacting the police and receiving their instructions. Everything else could wait.
Dr. Nanjo, is there anything more you can do here?
Unfortunately, there is nothing I can do.
Understood. Genji, could you at least cover their faces or something with something? Exposing them like this is humiliating to them as well.
Yes, madam. Genji placed up several dried up towels from inside the storehouse. When Ava stopped him with a shrill voice.
Wait a second! Stop! This is a scene of a crime, right? Then we mustn't disturb it. We all panicked walking here with our shoes on, but that will surely get in the way of the police investigation, right?
Natsuhi glared at Ava, offended. Objectively speaking, Ava was right. Even so, she stared at Ava as though accusing her of refusing to do those tragic corpses which had been humiliated even after death, the simple kindness of covering their faces. However, Ava had spoken both calmly and correctly. The horrible situation definitely wasn't an accident. It was a crime. Someone had killed them. It was a murder case. So they needed to be careful to avoid disturbing the site any further. They had to do what little they could to aid the police. Preserving the clues might have helped catch the detestable culprit. I agree with Ava-san. Until the police come, we should leave everything be. What do you say, madam?
You're right. Very well. Close it up. And just in case, we should just put a different lock on it.
A different lock?
Yes. When we came here, the shutter was locked. That means the culprit used the key to the shutter to lock it.
That makes sense. So does that mean the key that opens the shutter will have the culprit's fingerprints on it?
Sure, it'd be worth submitting to the police as evidence. But Kanon usually has it. He used it to unlock the shed just now. Probably have Kanon's fingerprints on it. Most of the key was handed to Genji-san right now. He took it with his bare hands.
Also, like, I mean, I guess you could submit it, but if they have gloves on, it's not gonna do anything.
Yeah. Doesn't look like it'd be very useful as evidence.
That was careless of me. My apologies. Genji-san, are there any other keys to the storehouse? He said yeah. Okay. No. Only this one.
No, the plot twist is that was yeah in English, but he was like undercover the whole time.
So the culprit walked out of the servant room with that key, and then was nice enough to return the key to where they found it. Diaz's theory sounded plausible, was actually very strange if you thought about it. Why would they go through all the trouble of returning a key they stole? They could have just threw it away. Not only... No, if you think about it even more deeply, there are some points that are even more bizarre. Okay, also bizarre, why are the bodies in the shed? Okay, because surely... I mean, maybe they did all die there. But if they didn't all die there... Well, even if they did all... Okay, we're in the middle of an island. You could easily throw their bodies into the ocean. And it would probably be fine.
Yatarichi probably wants their bodies to be discovered.
When a criminal hides a body, they're usually trying to delay the point at which it will be found so they can use that time to escape. The six weren't necessarily killed here, but it was reasonable to assume they had been killed somewhere on the island, carried to the storehouse, and hidden to delay the discovery of their crime. And yet the eerie magical circle scribbled on the storehouse shutter had eloquently indicated its location of the hidden corpses. Sure, it didn't explicitly mention the corpses, but 6 people had gone missing. In that situation, someone had to make an obvious piece of graffiti and even return to the key to the shutter. Almost as though they wanted the corpses to be discovered.
Anyway. Yeah, what she said.
Oh.
Anyway, we can't pull our... Okay, anyway, we can't put all our faith in a lock that the culprit has opened once before.
I just noticed, these had changed.
Oh. Oh! Oh, that's kind of cool!
His corpse was... Yeah. Corpse was found inside the rose-guarded storehouse. The direct cause of death is unknown, but seen the side of his head is smashed after his death. This is the beginning of everything. His corpse was found inside the rose garden storehouse. His face had been smashed after death. He has a right to lament his ill fortune. And see, his whole head is crushed, but he only had half of his.
And then, like, the other people, her face was fully
smashed after death. She was chosen by the demons for Let. That's all there is to it. I'll get to see her again, so I don't feel lonely. Yeah, she only has half her head. Or everyone will be revived in the Golden Lands. How unfortunate. Apparently he was originally supposed to be on duty in the guest house. Ooh.
Oh.
Means it could have been any of the other servants.
If only they were in the guest house. That's interesting.
If only Shannon didn't decide to help Goda.
If only Shannon decided...
You know, if George didn't propose, she wouldn't have been embarrassed. So actually, it's his fault.
Really?
Because she only left because she was embarrassed, but she was supposed to be in the guest house.
If only she stayed put. If only... You know, Cannon could have, like... Cannon was kind of right by, like, telling her to stay. If only Cannon just encouraged her to just stay put where she was. Instead of going out to, like, you know, to the other house. Actually, but she was in... I was in the main house. Was she originally in the main house?
No, these two were supposed to be on night duty of the guest house.
No.
But then she went to the main house because George embarrassed her.
So it was George's fault. I already read this. If we want to protect this place from the culprit's hands, I think we should put a new lock on it.
I think that is a good plan. I agree. Katie fished around the inside of the storehouse and unsealed a brand new padlock that had just been inside a small box. What should I do with the key?
I will I'll take responsibility and hand it over to the police.
Natsuhi took the key from the padlock from Geru's hand. Alright, hopefully we can find a good spot to save the game. After that, they all exited and lowered the shutter. And so the corpses were once again sealed behind that shutter, which was now covered by the creepy magic circle. Geru crouched down in front of the shutter to fasten the new padlock. Shutters often had a place in the front where you could attach your own lock in addition to the main one that locked the shutter. This was one of those types. I mean, I've never seen that, but I'll believe it. In the midst of the roar of the thunder and the pouring rain, the storehouse stood there ominously. With its closed shutter still covered in a blood-like creepy substance, it swallowed up the body of 6. To Natsuhi, putting the new lock on wasn't mainly to preserve the scene to the police. It felt like she wanted to make shut that mouth for all eternity. Prevent that eerie beast from swallowing up even more victims.
Come on, let's go, everyone. Dr. Nanjo, thank you very much for your work. Kenji, hurry up and contact the police.
I will do so as I return. The adults left the storehouse. The ghastly magic circle drawn on the shutter kept the 6 bodies in its throat, looming eerily as the lightning occasionally lit it up. Perfect. Alright, let's end here. It's almost 11. And what a perfect time. Maria's watching TV.
Well, you're telling me George was the only one. George didn't see Shannon's body.
Right. But
Suspicious.
Hideyoshi saw it.
Okay, I don't trust him.
Well, we also did see in the CG the maid dress. And Cannon was right there too, actually. He saw it too.
I don't trust that.
I
think this death is suspicious.
Yeah, these two, for some reason, only have half of their face caved in, which is very strange.
Also, notably, it's that line. I feel like I don't trust Shannon. I don't trust Shannon. I don't trust anyone here. I don't trust Shannon.
It's so funny that he died. It's just like, because like everybody's crying, like they're crying because he's dead. He's crying because Shannon's dead. I mean, Marie hasn't found out yet. Valor's crying because they're dead. Like nobody really fucking cares about good.
I don't trust her. I don't trust her. I don't trust Shannon. She's like the only one who isn't wicked. She's like too innocent to be part of Umineko. Her ideals are too pure. So she must be like evil.
Obviously that was a good scene. So that's where like people will say that it's worth it, right? I mean, they could have done so much faster, I feel, but
could have done so much faster, and there's still a lot of repeating lines.
It's like prior to this is like, what hours am I at?
This is still episode 1.
Yes, it's still episode 1. So I'm gonna say that was roughly 17 hours to get here. Well, after the scene, so maybe like 16 hours to get to the scene. But like that's so long for the hook. Like this is the hook that is 16 hours into the story, because there was no hook before this. It was kind of just relying like, do you find this interesting? Keep reading it then. But like if you think about other things, other games, just in general, like the hooks are supposed to be, like even when you write something, like it's supposed to be in the beginning of the fucking story. You think Doki Doki, like it's supposed to be a subversion, which is why it starts shit for the first 2 hours. And even then, by the way, reading that is so fucking horrible. Like I had to start skipping dialogue because it's so fucking boring. Like, it is unbearably boring, but then you get to the hook, and I think it's pretty bad. But like 6 years ago when it came out, that hook is what like got everybody to finish the rest, right? Like people
I
had
don't
to
know. I think
stomach
what
the
made them.
first couple hours.
I think what made people finish the rest was the fact that this was the creator of Higurashi.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't know, notoriety. How do you
And
say the word?
I'm pretty sure Higurashi had their boring moments too, but I'm pretty sure the origin of like how Higurashi and it got popular is that like he like started like no game company was willing. He was like independent with like one other person, and no other game companies were like accepting him, and he would he would go to Comic Cat, and which is like a convention, and like he like
Right,
sold
I
like
saw this
seven
in a
copies.
video once. Because when obviously when
Yes.
you release it, you have to. He did it in like chapters, so
So he did it in chapters, probably like doing it to like like rest,
you know that probably makes it easier to stomach.
like forums and stuff. And so like people were playing it, and they were like, "This stuff is pretty good. The storyline's pretty good." And it was easier to probably like stomach a lot of the chapters. And then like for Umineko, it's less easy to stomach the chapters because first of all, we are like going into this like with probably like soured expectations because of how long it is, but also the fact that it's like ridiculously like redundant. I feel like you can make stories without being really redundant on some points, like
This
Umineko is.
is a problem with another game. Okay, so I keep saving, but the Zero Escape series is a murder mystery visual novel as well, and it originally came out on the DS. And the way it was written was like traditional visual novel stuff, so like the text would be coming down from the screen, and because it's a DS, they would be on the bottom screen, and then the top screen would have like the character art, right?
Yeah.
And there was no voice acting, so a lot of the dialogue is a mix of like obviously the characters talking and then descriptions, so it worked really well because again like there's no voicing, right? You can't really get the subtext through the dialogue boxes usually. Only a lot of that's amplified by voice acting. So when they remake the game, a lot of it is now repetition because of the fact that the voice actors are able to give a performance. You can now say things and express it through your voice and then not have it to be in the text.
I don't know if Umineko started out
I
like
don't think it would
Higurashi
have
did.
started out voice acted.
Oh, yeah. I don't think it had like. I'm pretty sure Higurashi didn't have voice acting when it first came out. I don't think. I don't think Umineko. The original. Although we're using a mod, and this mod has I think the best voice acting and sprites.
Yeah. Well, I think it might be the only voice acting, but.
Yeah. Okay. The original release of Umineko had no voice acting.
Had no voice acting, then it would probably make more sense. Or there's still like a few things that can be cut out. It definitely would be a lot better because even though we're not listening to the voices, like I still hear them in the background when I'm reading it. So like, even though I don't understand Japanese, like I can tell just by like the tones, like how they're phrasing it.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, like how, now that I think about it, like a mocking tone is the same in any language. It sounds mocking, even though you don't know what the words are. Isn't that kind of crazy?
Everything sounds like someone's mocking you.
I know what you mean. I have a Vietnamese friend. I've heard the language.
I feel like it's a very harsh one. Like the tone is pretty harsh when you hear Vietnamese.
Yeah. But
I feel like people are always yelling at me.
Yeah, I feel that when I listen, I can't tell what's happening. But yeah, I mean that was a cool scene. I mean they just killed 6 people.
Yeah, I don't trust Shannon.
Trying to see if there's anything else I wanted to say.
You know what? And you know what? Fuck Cannon. I don't trust you either. I don't trust them. They're servants here, and they're the most trusted by what do you like? I don't trust them because like they're the most trusted by like I think his name's Kenzo, right? He's the because they have the obviously if he told them to do anything or if he gave them any commands or something, they would have to listen as like peep servants. So why would I trust them? I don't trust them. This is my theory. It's gonna come out something. I've made lots of predictions with Umineko, and unfortunately, we're not gonna see if they're true until we finish the game, and that's gonna take like 200 hours. But I think I'm right. I think I'm right on everything. I think I'm like looking into the future. I should like start writing down a list of like everything I'm like predicting in Umineko. And just watch me be right. Watch me. Watch me. I'm gonna start an Umineko list somewhere.
So
I don't actually
I'm
remember.
intrigued by. I don't know if this is in the original. Like I'm not. I feel like it's not in like the first draft of the game. I'm not. This is not a mod thing. Like I think this is just the PS3 version that has this. But I'm intrigued by the flavor text here, like the beginning of everything.
It is interesting.
Revived in the Golden Land. This one in particular brings my attention to the Golden Land, the portrait epitaph.
I forgot my previous predictions.
Because on the first Twilight, 6 will be offered as sacrifices. By the key! Oh my god, it's the storage house.
I don't think so.
On the second Twilight, those who remain shall tear apart the two who are close. And the three shall part, and then there's looks like a lot more deaths coming on here.
Gosh. No, this is a red herring. I think this is a red herring. I don't trust anything. If things are too straightforward, it's not gonna be straightforward. Once you feel smart, you're gonna feel stupid. That's how video games work. They're gonna do a plot twist, okay? And they're gonna make me feel stupid. What was my previous predictions? Do you remember any of them?
No.
Oh, fuck.
You can rewatch the VOD.
Maria
Oh, you
is
said
gonna
she
go fucking crazy.
Alright, I gotta end the stream. That was a nice... something happened. Something happened. Nothing ever happens, but something did happen. And that's the best part. I'm kind of curious to listen to the intense moment. Also, yeah, that music was really good. I wish there was good music throughout the entire visual novel.
I think it's gonna I feel like you'll hear it way more during like you know, later on in the visual novel when more intense moments are more frequent.
I hope so.
Because like I guess that was like I don't want to say pre-diabetes. That was like the pre suspense. And then now that things are picking up, I'm sure the OST is also gonna pick up. I like Lamento.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I want to listen back to that intense moment because it was very fun to voice it instead of just reading normal dialogue. I got to shout and get into the moment.
I think I sounded very bored because
yeah, you were annoyed that they weren't showing it. But the moment I plugged it in my earbuds and let the music play out, I got immersed. I was like, oh shit.
I feel like it's really hard for me to voice act properly when
when you're fucking sick.
Yeah. Also, like, I feel like the story is just like kind of like low key, like getting on my nerves. It's taking too long. There's like no interesting.
Okay, we're here now. So now they have no excuse. Like, imagine it just takes another 10 hours for something that happened.
Okay, well, why is the story freaking 200 hours long? Unless nothing happens for like the
That's what
rest of
I'm
this.
saying. I'm like confused on how the story is so long. Like I just can't imagine how it keeps going. But
It's gonna keep doing what?
now
One
that
thing,
it's started, it should be like a fucking rolling down the hill. Like it should just keep going. Like there's no way you can like pace
no,
it
I know
and just
episode 2
pause
is
it.
gonna be fucking boring as
I'm
hell,
gonna
like
get
the start.
fucking edged.
Cause like the thing is about this author is like what he does is he will purposely put red herrings and basically like it's like what people like say is like it's basically a battle between the reader and the author
That sounds fun.
because because the author is trying to basically twist your expectations every time while you're
That's how I
trying to
feel
come
when
up
I
with
play
your
Zero Escape. It's me versus the
so
fucking author. And he always wins
yeah
because he has the craziest ideas.
yeah so I'm pretty sure that's gonna happen in Umineko, so that's why if it seems too straightforward it's fucking not.
Probably.
Uh-huh. So, you know what? Shannon's trans, they're all accomplices. And the only people who aren't accomplices are the kids and Natsuhi. And that's my theory.
Hmm. And as always, Natsuhi is the best character.
Also, Shannon is the fucking murderer. Because they were very quick to avoid showing her face to George. But I don't trust any of the family members because, sure, they might act
Oh,
shocked now, but
it's
what
because he
if?
didn't want her to be ruined in his memory.
Okay, but why was the father so against showing it?
Well, because Battler was freaking out because he saw his parents dead, and he was
Okay,
talking about like
and
how
Butler
now if
might have
he
been
when he thinks of them,
freaking
he's
out.
only gonna remember how they look. But if George doesn't
Okay,
see
but
her, then he'll never have to
this
think
is
that.
you see, you're looking at this with too much logical thinking.
I mean, if
You're
it were
looking.
me, I probably wouldn't want like I could see that they're dead, but I wouldn't want to see the
I can.
face.
You can see why. Listen, the reason why it seems so logical and it makes sense why they wouldn't want to show it is why they're suspicious.
But the game lied to me with the fucking in-game thing showing that she's dead. If the game's lying to
Yes,
me, that's fucked up. But I don't count
I
that as
don't
part of the
think
story, though.
I don't think they're lying that she's dead, but I think she was involved heavily with
I
the
have to
crime.
Google it. If this was included in the original, then I'm trusting the character thing. But if it wasn't, then I'm
I
not gonna
do think
consider it.
okay, the thing is, I do think Shannon's dead, but I do not think that Shannon's innocent. I think that's her dress and that's her body, but I do not think she's innocent. You know, if there's I swear to God, if I'm right and like I come back to this and I'm like right that they're all accomplices and like Shannon was like a culprit, I'm literally gonna what are we gonna like laugh? I'm gonna I know I sound like insane, but like it has to be, right? Canon knows should also be like very suspicious because yeah, he saw the face, he was crying. But remember, these people are servants. Um and then also like sure, we have the father and then we have like Ava, but I don't know. I don't trust that. I don't trust them. I really don't fucking trust them. I don't trust the adults. And Maria's gonna go fucking crazy. You know what? Maria's a fucking accomplice. Like that we could just say that for sure. Maria is suspicious as hell. Especially because she wasn't at the like sure, luckily she wasn't at the crime scene, but she has to be suspicious, right? Because she's the one who Beatrice gave the letter to. She was the one who's like into the cult stuff. How do we know she's not part of this murder? Because like this is Higurashi, were like elementary schoolers. I'm pretty sure they were in elementary school or something, middle school, whatever. Like where children um have done murder against each other and violence against each other. So I'm sure that I'm sure that Maria is gonna go fucking batshit insane. Cause, you know, just like her mother casually abusing her, like in front of everyone, and she just responding with, ooh, ooh, because she's probably traumatized or something, is enough for me to, like, say that Mary, and like her being into the cult and pointing out shit like a creepy child does, she's involved in the murder too. Maria is definitely involved in this murder. But do I think that, and it's all planned by Beatrice. But would I say that Beatrice? I wonder if Beatrice is like actually like in charge of this one. I don't think she was directly involved. Maybe it was like someone related to Beatrice. Am I crazy? Is this theory making sense? This is my theory. I'm gonna be so right. I'm gonna be so right.
I can't find the answer to if the thing was in the original, but according to this one comment, the original had way more writing because there was less visuals. So this is with reduced writing, I think. So wait, that solves my thing where I'm like, they has voice acting now, so they should have taken it out, but maybe they didn't. Yeah, they did. They took it out. It's still there. This is what they decided was necessary.
But I'm gonna be right because I play visual novels, especially Dempa visual novels where everyone goes batshit insane.
I just looked at the original art. It looks so fucking funny.
Yeah.
Oh my god, in the fucking other art style, I just looked at Kyrie, her fucking balloon chest. Jesus Christ, they're massive. Oh, it did have the fucking character. It did. Okay, so this is relevant. It did have the character chart and the tips that was in the original.
Yeah, probably. They wouldn't probably add something
Okay,
new
so
to
I
the story.
can use it as reference. Like, it is supposed to be there and usable throughout the story.
Well, yeah. I want to look at it in like the original art style. I feel like it'd look goofy as hell.
Unfortunately, the mod can't switch between easily. I would have to like re-inject the mod into it and just change the art style, but I wouldn't be able to change it on the fly.
I want to see the original, like the original, not the pachinko one, the original.
Yeah, like this.
The goofy one. Dang, they made Maria look older in that one too.
Yeah, and
Like,
then
why
look
she
at
got
the other
curves for a
version.
9-year-old? Like, Loki gave her curves as a 9-year-old. That's funny. And I do think the PS3 sprites look the best.
Yeah, the one we have.
Like, there's like a lot of personality in the other sprites, but the issue, but I do think like, I don't know. They gave Maria boobs in the original.
There's a lot more art in the original. It's just obviously like, I don't know, not traced. It's like slightly edited stock footage or whatever. And then also like, lower quality obviously. But they do use more backgrounds is what I've noticed. I'm pretty sure they're just like edited photos with some kind of filter on them.
Yep.
I want to see what's her face. I want to see how beautiful Natsuhi looks. Show me. Show me. Show me.
Umi.
Cannon looks so fucking silly.
Bro's laughing to himself.
Where is Natsuhi? There she is. Oh my god, she's just as beautiful as she is in the new one.
Uh-huh.
Okay, her hair makes more sense in this version. I don't know why they fucked it up in the version we're playing. But her hair is obviously like an ombre gradient. She doesn't look bad. Doesn't look bad at all. It's just her dress might be a little tight.
Yeah, but like it's like wrapping around like the bottom of her boob. It's kind of funny.
Alright, well.
In
Time
all
to...
versions, for some reason, they make her ponytail just like a darker color, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, maybe it's like dyed.
I know, but like, why? It's weird because like there's no gradient towards like the brown, and then like, so it just
There's
looks
on
like.
my screen.
I'm talking about like the other sprites.
Oh, and they're in the remake?
I mean, like, yeah, but even so, I think like the sudden like change of like a darker brown to like reddish ombre is kind of like.
She's gorgeous.
They have low standards.
What? She is beautiful. I kind of like the original art in a way. In a way that is like MS Paint is kind of endearing to look at.
I like it. It's kind of scrunkly, but it's kind of ugly. Like, it's like ugly in a very aesthetic way. Pretty sure though.
Like
There's
Maria's
like a
doesn't look bad.
third installation. Maria?
Yeah, I think hers look fine. Nothing really weird about it.
I think Maria just looks too old for a 9-year-old in the room.
She's almost as tall as Hideyoshi.
I think it's weird because she has curves and boobs.
It's probably the dress thingy.
Okay, but they gave her boob shadow.
Did they?
Yeah, there's boob shadow.
Maybe it was just the light source. I didn't wait. Did she always have an eagle there? I don't think I ever noticed. What the fuck?
Well, yeah, she's a. She deserves to have an eagle.
Wait, you can't even see Shannon's eagle on her leg. Do they have a full body portrait? I just closed the link, so I wouldn't know. But huh. I guess you don't see the full body until you click on their portrait in the game, anyways. Bless you. All right, now let's actually end the stream. That's it for theory crafting.
Are you streaming your screen, or were you just
like? I was just talking to the void. It's all right. All right. So next time, I mean, I'll be freer tomorrow earlier.
Put this in a cup.
I will be home sooner tomorrow.
I'll be home later tomorrow, but hopefully
okay. Maybe not tomorrow.
I won't be that late. Just like it'll be like around probably like 4 my time. 4.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. Maybe we'll do another stream because we've been doing it like every day.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, I'm gonna end the stream. Hopefully,
you think we're gonna finish Umineko in like 2 months?
That'd be quite optimistic. Let's see if we will.